This is episode 319 on the 29th of January 2021. Let's start this morning's episode with two special songs. We're leaving together, but still it's farewell, and maybe we'll come back to earth. Who can tell? I guess there's no one to blame. We're leaving ground, we're leaving ground. Will things ever be the same again? It's the final countdown. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, the final countdown. We heading for Venus, Venus, and still we stand tall. Cause maybe they've seen us, and welcome us all, yeah. With so many light years to go, and things to be found. I'm sure that we'll miss her so. It's the final countdown. The final countdown. The final countdown. The final countdown. Oh, it's the final countdown. Oh, it's the final countdown. We're leaving together. We'll all miss her, so it's the final countdown. Oh, it's the final countdown. Let's start this morning's second song. किसी का छुट्टा, किसी की दौलत, किसी का लव, किसी की मोहब्बत, यहाँ पे जिंदगी की हर खुशी, रुपया है डॉलर या पाउंड, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन। हम कितना 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 काफी है, किसको बोलो उसको जितना, अपनी किस्मत को ऐसे तोलो, सबका धर्म है काम ना कोई रकम, सारे सपनों में सिक्कों का साउंड, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन, हे मीटर डाउन, ला 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 ला, ओ या। दिखी दिखी दुनिया ये इनके नाम पे दिखी, दिल है नरम तो खाएगा जख्म, तेरे लॉस किसी और का फाउंड, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन। किसी का छुट्टा, किसी की दौलत, किसी का लव, किसी की मोहब्बत, यहाँ पे जिंदगी की हर खुशी, रुपया है डॉलर या पाउंड, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन, हे मीटर डाउन 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 डाउन। Economy, education, academics, and sports run parallel when it comes to success. Whether it's whether it's wanting to witness a V-shaped recovery as far as the economy is concerned, the stock market rising, the GDP collapsing or expanding. A country's success is seen through these parameters. If any of these parameters are down, if it's not a V-shaped recovery, or the stock market falls, or the GDP collapses because of reasons, and the government works to increase these factors through spending or borrowing or any other such efforts, a country's success is seen through these parameters. Similarly, it's the case in academics. A student's success or failure is seen through the marks they get. And once a student gets over 90% marks, all the praise is showered upon the institutions, which include the pseudo educational institution called the coaching centers, or the teachers, but the student doesn't get much of a praise. A student's success, a student's intelligence, cognitive intelligence, or emotional intelligence, or any other such nomenclature is always seen through the marks they get. Despite the efforts to wean away from such parameters, we are forced back into it. And that's how a success of a student is seen. Moving on, even in sports, the success of an individual athlete or a team effort is seen through the number of championships the team wins or the athlete wins, or if the condition is to win gold medals. Anything less than gold medals in is a strict no. Team games, which include hockey, cricket, basketball, football, out of which cricket is the only sport in which there is a former designated captain who plays an important role. Though for me, captaincy is a subjective position, an abstract position. Compared to sports like basketball, hockey, or football, where the coach or the manager plays an important role. So, the decisions taken by the coach in a football team, whether it's an international team or the domestic tournaments. Similarly, in hockey, the coach is involved intensely into the match. They make the decisions during the break time, or they decide which player will be substituted with which player. The success of a team is never on the players but on the decisions taken by the coach, and therefore it is the coach who feels the heat when they are hired or fired depending upon the success of that team. But cricket, a team game, a supposed team game, it's only an illusion. Cricket is an individual game, but it's created in such a manner that it comes upon us as a team game, when at one time only two players are involved as far as the cricket is concerned. And this brings this morning's discussion about the discussion about whether a certain player called Rahane should replace Kohli as the captain of the team because of the success achieved by winning the Test tournament. Though for me it's irrelevant, because once Rahane and Kohli retire, another group of players will come and take over. So no player has a long lasting influence on a team. Players have come and gone. So why the discussion whether Rahane should replace Kohli as the captain because of the merit achieved in winning the tournament in Australia, or others coming to the aid of Kohli saying that it is Kohli who made this team who wants to win outside the their native country? Well, these debates have no base. But let's continue this, because for me, such discussions have no concrete evidence to have any discussion upon. Do captains matter? Well, captains are not even discussed as far as football, hockey, basketball is concerned. All the 11 players make a decision which influences a team, make a collective decision which influences the team. But in cricket, everyone looks upon the senior most and the experienced player who has to lead by example, who has to take certain decisions on the field, because the coach has no role to play once the 11 players or the 13 players descend upon the field of play. So whether it's, if a team wins, the captain is praised. If a team loses, like in the case of Australia, Tim Payne comes under fire for his decisions or for making certain calls which went against the collective decision of the team. But before we go further, let's take a small break. Virat Kohli is called the most successful captain, and a few individuals who have no role to play in the crucial decision making parts want him replaced. But for me, it's irrelevant whether Kohli is the captain once upon and then he will be in the past. Rahane did the job as the vice captain when Kohli was unavailable, and it gave opportunities to other players to showcase their talents. But this is the only sport in which we focus on abstract and subjective things like captaincy, players, decision, external conditions, and all the debate that comes around it. Let's look at a few pseudo experts who put in their views. So a certain in so a certain pseudo expert said that many feel that Virat can contribute more as a batter than as a captain, and this individual gives the example of Dhoni, who was aging and everyone thought Virat was the right successor. And now Virat is aging into his mid 30s, and we need a new captain to take over. This debate and these excuses are old. Whenever a certain captain who has been captaining the team for 6 to 7 years, we feel bored about him, because if, for example, if India doesn't beat England in the upcoming England India tournament, if the series is 1-1 or 2-2, or if England manage to take the win, then Virat Kohli's captaincy credentials will come into focus again. But is it relevant? Is captaincy a relevant thing? Captaincy is like a revolving door. One person goes in, the other person replaces him. 10 years down the line, this debate could be between Shubman Gill and Prithvi Shaw, or Rishabh Pant, Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill. This debate has already gone even further, saying that there should be three captains for three formats, which means that Kohli for ODIs, Rahane for tests, and Rohit Sharma for 20 overs. And cricket is the only sport in which such a debate will ensue. So it's more about the player than the team, because every 10 years there is a change of guard which happens even at the highest levels of the head of government. Prime ministers, presidents come and go, but the government remains. Similarly, captains, players come and go, they seal their legacy, and then another group comes and they work hard to seal their legacy. So for me, this Rahane, Virat, Rohit debate has no concrete reason to even have a debate. It's not even a debate which should be done in the first place, because captaincy is an irrelevant position. The cricket is the only sport in which we even venture out to discuss the success of the team based on the decisions taken by the captain. Though in cricket, if you look carefully, it's not a team of 22 players, only 13 players are active at one point in time, or rather, 4 players are active: the keeper, the 2 batters, and the bowler. Only 4 players are involved. The rest of the team can sleep it off, they won't even know the match is over. Such is the slowness of the sport. Though a few changes have been made with the introduction of 20 over matches, which came into being 16 years ago, and then to even make it more exciting, though it's pseudo exciting, it's not even actually exciting. They try to bring in 10 over matches so that every ball is a 6 or a 4, and the investors and the sponsors involved feel that yes, they have invested in something new. One can call it innovation, I call it a stalemate. Football with its 90 minutes is more exciting than cricket with its 10 overs, because 10 overs is equal to the 90 minutes of a football game. Yet, football 1-all, 5 minutes to go, any team can win. Similarly, hockey 70 minutes, or rather 60 minutes, with 4 quarters of 15 minutes each, a more exciting game. Who the captain of a hockey team is never debated. Yes, a captain is needed for just for the sake of it, but a captain in a hockey team or a football team has no meaning, because all the 11 players, or rather all the 22 players involved, make a collective decision. Yes, in hockey and football, positions like defenders, forwards, attackers, goalkeepers are there, but after a while, whether you are a defender, can you play the role of an attacker? Yes, you have to defend your goal, you have to pass it on to the forward who will make sure that they try to score the goal in the other team's goal post, and then that team's goal will make every effort not to allow a goal. And that is what makes hockey, football, basketball more interesting. But coming back to this captaincy debate, it's a charade. It has no meaning, because the team won because all the players involved contributed. Yes, individuals contribution, but it is seen as a smoke screen of a team contribution. So for me, whether Virat is the captain, or Vahane is the captain, or Rohit is the captain, or surprisingly Rishabh Pant, Shubman Gill, Prithvi Shaw become the captain in the next 5 to 6 years, this debate has no base. So captaincy will and always remain an abstract position, because it is subject to change, just as the head of a government is subject to change after every 4 to 5 years. Let's take a small break. Welcome back after the break. Let's end this beautiful episode on this beautiful pseudo winter morning by reading from the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 1, The Adventure of the Silver Blaze. It is one of those cases where the art of the reasoner should be used rather for the sifting of details than for the acquiring of fresh evidence. The tragedy has been so uncommon, so complete, and of such personal importance to so many people that we are suffering from a plethora of surmise, conjecture, and hypotheses. And this is a good defense for the fact that captaincy is an abstract position because that's all we are doing. We are surmising, it's a conjecture as to whether if Kohli had continued to be the captain, whether India would have won that match. And it's a hypothesis as far as who will do a better job as a captain going into the future. The difficulty is to detach the framework of fact, of absolute undeniable fact, from the embellishment of theorists and reporters. Then, having established ourselves upon the sound basis, it is our duty to see what inferences may be drawn and what are the special points upon which the whole mystery turns. On Tuesday evening, I received telegrams from both Colonel Ross, the owner of the horse, and from Inspector Gregory, who was looking after the case, inviting my cooperation. Welcome back after the break. Tuesday evening, I exclaimed, and this is Thursday morning. Why didn't you go down yesterday? Because I made a blunder, my dear Watson, which is, I am afraid, a more common occurrence than anyone would think who only knew me through your memoirs. The fact is, I could not believe it possible that the most remarkable horse in England could long remain concealed, especially in so sparsely inhabited a place as the north of Dartmoor. From hour to hour yesterday, I expected to hear that he had been found and that his abductor was the murderer of John Straker. When, however, another morning had come and I found that beyond the arrest of young Fitzroy Simpson, nothing had been done. I felt that it was time for me to take action. Yet, in some ways, I felt that yesterday has not been wasted. You have formed a theory then? At least I've got a grip of the essential facts of the case. I shall enumerate them to you, for nothing clears up a case so much as stating it to another person, and I can hardly expect your cooperation if I do not show you the position from which we start. I lay back again against the cushions, puffing at my cigar, while Holmes, leaning forward with his long, thin forefinger, checking off the points upon the palm of his left hand, gave me a sketch of the events which had led to our journey. Silver Blaze, said he, is from the Chamonix stock and holds as brilliant a record as his famous ancestor. He is now in his fifth year and has brought in turn each of the prizes of the turf to Colonel Ross, his fortunate owner. Up to the time of the catastrophe, he was the first favorite for the Wessex Cup, the betting being 3 to 1 on him. He has always, however, been a prime favorite with the racing public and has never yet disappointed them, so that even at those odd odds, enormous sums of money have been laid upon him. It is obvious, therefore, that there were many people who had the strongest interest in preventing Silver Blaze from being there at the fall of the flag next Tuesday. The fact was, of course, appreciated at King's Pyland, where the colonel's training stable is situated. Every precaution was taken to guard the favorite. The trainer, John Straker, is a retired jockey who rode in Colonel Ross's colors before he became too heavy for the weighing chair. He has served the colonel for 5 years as jockey and for seven as trainer, and has always shown himself to be a zealous and honest servant. Under him were three lads, for the establishment was a small one containing only 4 horses in all. One of these lads sat up each night in the stable while the others slept in the loft. All three bore excellent characters. John Straker, who is a married man, lived in a small villa about 200 yards from the stables. He has no children, keeps one maid servant, and is comfortably off. The country round is very lonely, but about half a mile to the north there is a small cluster of villas which have been built by a Tavistock contractor for the use of invalids and others who may wish to enjoy the pure Dartmoor air. Tavistock itself lies 2 miles to the west, while across the moor, also about 2 miles distance, is the larger training establishment of Mapleton, which belongs to Lord Backwater and is managed by Silas Brown. In every other direction, the moor is a complete wilderness inhabited by only only by a few roaming gypsies. Such was the general situation last Monday night when the catastrophe occurred. This ends episode number 319 on the 29th of January 2021. Stay tuned for the next episode on the 1st of February 2021.